Welcome to a screencast for graphing piecewise functions using the TI84 calculator. In this screencast, you will learn how to graph a piecewise function using the TI84 calculator. Before starting this lesson, it would be important to know how to graph just a linear function. We're going to talk about piecewise functions in this lesson, and then you need these skills in order to be successful when you graph step or other piecewise functions. So let's take a look at our first example. F of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. So if I'm going to graph this using my calculator, just a straight line, just want to review how to do it. First, I need my calculator. So here it is. So in order to graph this, there's a couple of keystrokes that I'm going to need. The first thing I need to do is input my function. So we input functions in the y equals key. And actually what I'm going to do is make the screen a little bigger so you can just get a better idea of what I'm doing. So I entered the y equals key to get this screen, and I'm going to type in my negative. So my negative is right here underneath the enter. Do not use the subtraction when you're trying to do a negative. So we're going to do negative. To do fractions, there's a couple of different ways. I think the easiest is using this F1 button. And to get to the F1 button, you hit alpha and then y equals. And here are our fractions. So I'm going to make that first choice. And I'm going to type my 1/2. And then arrow over. So the next symbol that I need is the x. And that's right next to the alpha key, that green key. And that's just a good generic variable, the typical variable that you would use in a problem. And when we graph, usually it's x. Okay, then I hit add 3. And this is the function that I'd like to graph. So the first thing I'm going to do is check out what does the graph look like. So up here towards the top, they have the graph button. And when I hit graph, that's pretty much what I was expecting, a negative slope, y-intercept of 3. But it's kind of hard to get this transferred onto paper. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the table. So I'm going to hit second table. And here I can see some points. I want to avoid the fraction ones. Those are hard to graph. But I can see like a point that we have is negative 6, 6. And let's make this smaller. So here is negative 6, 6. And then I'm looking at another point, negative 4, 5, negative 4, 5. And let's try another one, negative 2, 4. So here I have 3 points. I think 3 points are enough to draw a line. So I'll just draw my line. So just to kind of recap, I typed in my function in the y equals. I took a look at the graph, and actually this is a good match of what I saw. And then I used the table to plot the individual points. So now let's take a look at what we would have to do to graph a piecewise function. And you can tell here we have a piecewise function, and the left side of my graph is going to be, actually it's before x is negative 4, and then after x is negative 4, we'll have this other function. So again, I'm going to take out my calculator. To get back to the home screen, I hit second quit, or second mode. And then I want to plug this function in. So I'm going to be graphing a line, so I need to create a new function. So I'm going to hit y equals, and then clear out anything that was there before. Okay, From here, I want to get my piecewise function. And to do that, in the math button, so when I'm in this screen and the cursor's blinking, I'm going to hit math. And I need to scroll all the way down in this math column. So I'm going to hit that about 11 times. And I see right here is my choice. It says piecewise. Now, if your calculator does not say piecewise and it is a TI84 plus CE, you might need to upgrade the operating system. But most of the ones that you might have currently bought should have that piecewise automatically there. So I've got the piecewise highlighted. I'm going to hit enter, and it's asking me how many pieces. Well, if we remember what our function looked like, we only had 2 pieces. So I'm going to hit the back arrow to get the number of pieces to be 2, and then I hit OK or enter. So now here we have our function and condition, function and condition. So the first function was negative x minus 1. And I'm going to arrow down. And my other function was just that horizontal line segment at negative 3. Now, I'm going to arrow over, arrow up. What are these conditions? Well, I need to be able to type in my x, but I need that less than symbol. The less than symbol is in the test menu. To get to the test menu, you hit second math. And here we have all of our testing. So if we want if we want x is less than negative 4, I can either type 5 or arrow down. And I would type in negative 4. And for our other one, we want x to be greater than or equal to negative 4. So again, I hit second math to see my symbols, my inequality symbols. And this time it's the 4th option down. Oops, forgot the x. So now this pretty much matches what I have for my function. So again, I'm going to hit graph so I can kind of see. And yes, at negative 4, that's where my function splits. Now the calculator's not going to show you open circles and closed circles. It just doesn't work that way. This is about as close as we're going to get. But what I can do is take a look at the table. So second table. And I can see I have, some points that I can get started with. So let's move this over. And the first point I have was negative 7, 6. The next one was negative 6, 5. Negative 5, 4. And because I know something's going to happen here at negative 4, I'm just going to plot that next one. That's what my line is going to look like, and it's going to end up at that negative 4, positive 3. But again, that won't count, but we'll talk about that in a second. I'm going to continue to go on with my graph. There is negative 4, 3. Negative 3, negative 3, and so on. So I just need those points there. Now, as we remember when graphing the piecewise functions, this line here, it comes really, really, really close to negative 4, 3, but it doesn't hit negative 4, 3. It approaches that point, but it will never hit that point exactly. So that guy needs to be an open circle. And then I'll pick up that function again down here at negative 4, negative 3. So I need a line over here. And then I need a line over here. So that's how I kind of use the table to help me, but I still need to use my brain to figure out, what's actually happening with my graph. So there we go. Okay, so these were just some of the keystrokes that I used. To enter a function into the graph, we hit y equals. To get the x variable, we just use that quick shortcut key. To see the graph of a function that you already typed in, you just hit graph. To see the table of the function you already typed in, that was second graph. To get to that piecewise function, you'd hit math and then you have to arrow down a whole bunch. And then to get to the inequality symbols, that's second math to get to that test function. So in a nutshell, that's how we can graph a piecewise function using the TI84 calculator.